My name, say it. Boss man Elon said that I have to show up and work hard. So I quit. Can I file for unemployment? I don't want to work hard. Uh, um, well, I mean, when your boss man fires half the staff and then makes you do their job for him without any increase in pay, why would you stay? Right? You can get 3 months severance. You can go on to a company that will give you things like stock options, somewhere where you're appreciated. You don't have to work 80 hours a week because, quite frankly, no one wants to work 80 hours a week. They don't. Why work 80 hours a week for someone else? Like, maybe for yourself, you work 80 hours a week, or if the job is really, 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 really fun, if you're having a blast. But if, like, your job consists of moderating social media and all you are confronted with all day long is like violent images, tortured children, all sorts of stuff that gets reported, war crimes that get reported, and you've got to sit and like go through that and moderate it and make sure like the public is protected. It takes a toll on your psyche. And now all of a sudden you got to do twice as much of it because all your coworkers got fired, or like, why? Why would you be like, oh, I'm gonna be so hardcore, I'm gonna fucking look at violent images of children being tortured like 22 hours a day because Elon asked me to? No, you're out of there. Like, uh, if you're working payroll, HR, any of those, like having to process 3, 4, 5,000 exit interviews and stuff if you're in HR, that sucks. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to quit and get an HR job somewhere else. So that's why there's no one left in payroll. There's no one left in accounts payable. There's basically no one left in HR. There's nobody left in any of the compliance areas, such as the FTC or the GDPR, the European Privacy Compliance Standards. No one left doing the child safety compliance standards. And why be the only person there? You're going to get all the blame for not meeting any of those requirements. And you might as well be like, screw this, I'm out. And then if you are working hardware architecture and, your boss is just deleting all the work you've done over the years, why? Why even stay? Why stay at all at that company when you can get 3 months pay and go get another job somewhere else that's going to pay you more and give you stock options? You're going to do that. The folks left at Twitter are all H-1B visas that require employment to stay in the country. So they're going to stay until they find a new job somewhere else. And then they're gone. Christopher bursts out, stop crying about Elon. WTF. Elon sucks. I will keep talking about how much Elon sucks until you all go, all right, you're right. Elon does suck. Because he does. He's a sucky dude. If Elon had been born poor, none of us would have ever heard of him. He has never run a profitable company. He got fired from PayPal because of the compounding problems with their website, and he had no business plan. So like, get out. You're not making any money. So he got out. And then the company made money. He's never made a profit at any of his other companies. They've been bought out. He makes money off of getting investment. That's it. He gets people to invest in his companies, and then they never make any money. So, that to me isn't necessarily a successful capitalist. That's somebody who can grift. And he's blown up $44 billion over at Twitter as we speak, which is not the hallmark of somebody who's making a lot of money. And his chancery court case might result in him losing $56 billion. So think about $100 billion in 1 month. Is where he could be right now. After losing already $100 billion over the last year from Tesla stock dropping, Elon sucks. He does. He's a shitty employer, treats his employees really poorly, keeps getting sued for making really racist, problematic manufacturing plants. He lies about his products. He claims like he was about to have an investor revolt over the profitability of Tesla. And so like the night before, he had a render made up of a house with shingles, photovoltaic shingles all over the house. He's like, look at our new product. Well, the product never existed. It was just something he presented to the investors last minute to get them all stoked. And since then, they've done nothing about making those products. The Boring Company that he created to make this Hyperloop, this vacuum chambered thing that can fire you from Los Angeles to New York in 30 minutes or whatever, he admitted he created specifically to kill mass transit so more people would drive. So whenever someone's like, you know what, let's build a high-speed rail from Sacramento to San Diego, you want to go, no, my Hyperloop will do that faster. And so then people stop trying to build the high-speed rail, and then he never builds the Hyperloop. And when he did actually like make sort of a Hyperloop, it was just some Teslas to drive underground in really dangerous tunnels that didn't have egress or fire suppression. So, you know, that isn't the hallmark of a good person. You know, he's kind of a shitty dude. He lied about his college degrees. He never got a physics degree. He tells everyone, oh, I got a physics degree. No, he didn't. Matter of fact, he dropped out of college and didn't have any of his degrees. And when Peter Thiel was first investing in him, they discovered that he didn't have any college degrees and was in the country illegally. He was here without an active visa because he was here on a student visa, that they basically bribed the Wharton School to give him an economics degree. Like, just give him a degree so we can at least give him an H-1B visa as an employee. And they're like, all right. So they did. And he never got a physics degree like he told everyone. He said he went to Stanford for a PhD program, then dropped out after a couple of days to start his company. He never applied to Stanford. There's no record of him having ever applied to Stanford. So, you know, he's just a grifter, man. He's a very, very, very successful grifter, but he's a grifter nonetheless. And eventually, you know, all that flim-flam's going to come tumbling down. And you guys will be on here and be like, all right, fine. You were right, Houston. We were wrong. Sorry. And a lot of you have been messaging like, you know what? I was an Elon fan last year, and then I looked into it. I'm like, oh, he is a piece of shit. He is. Elon sucks. And I'll talk about it forever. And I'll watch my viewer numbers drop, and I'll just keep talking about it. And then, you know, that'll be the future. Okay. John Crampton, Twitter will just be fine. It's not going anywhere. It'll be the best company ever. No. Okay. You want the list? Want the list of Twitter's problems right now? Okay, we talked about they have no payroll. They have no accounts payable. Okay, so they can't pay server farms. The vendors aren't going to get paid. Whatever. They fired most of their moderation team. So there's no one moderating right now. The DCM people, the digital copyrights people aren't there. So like entire movies been getting posted to Twitter all weekend, with nothing happening to the folks who are posting these entire movies, which means Disney's going to sue the hell out of you. You don't want to face a Disney lawsuits for digital rights fuck ups. They no longer have any of the contractors maintaining the CSAM regulations, which are the child safety regulations. So if you do not make sure that like children aren't being exploited or trafficked or have other horrible things happen to them, have access to like unlimited pornography and whatever else, then other companies are going to not be allowed to do business with you. So whoever hosts your servers won't be allowed to host your servers. The Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, they'll have to close your program. They no longer have anyone in compliance with FTC consent decree, which protects privacy of users. And when Facebook failed in their consent decree, they were fined $5 billion. Twitter will probably be fined more than that because this will affect more people, and they'll want to make an example of them. There's no one left. There's a whole team of lawyers making sure that the products that came out of Twitter met the privacy standards, and there's no one doing that now. Matter of fact, Elon told the engineers like self-certify that they're compliant. Well, as evidence from the blue check fiasco that he had, that there was no compliance whatsoever. Anyone paid $8 got a blue check, and they took down tens of billions of dollars in corporate value by fake tweeting as if they were official sites. That's going to lead to giant lawsuits. When Elon laid everybody off, he violated California's labor laws. So he's facing probably billions of dollars in lawsuits there. Plus, if those folks don't get their severance because there's no one left in payroll, they're going to get sued again for violating their severance clauses. When Elon laid people off in Ireland and in France, wherever else, they're violating EU labor laws. So he's getting sued huge there for that as well. He's being sued for violating the Americans with Disabilities Act, for requiring everyone to come into the office and work or else they're fired. What else? I mean, the teams who are responsible for database management, they're basically down to like one dude from teams of 50. So there's no quick response from any engineer for any problems that happen. So problems can cascade. You can get a hard drive that fills up too much, and all of a sudden that will overflow into all the hard drives across the server, and you have no response team that can take care of it. Bots are out of control. Before I got kicked off, I was getting probably 50 DMs a day from either pretty ladies trying to get me to give them my bank account number, or from scammers trying to get into my crypto wallets or convince me that I could make $1,000 a day doing whatever weird marketing thing they had. That stuff went up tenfold in just the last couple of weeks. Twitter's facing a lot. They've lost $3 billion in advertisers. They now have $1.75 to $2 billion a year in interest they got to pay on Elon's loans. So that's $5 billion out. For a company that had been making $6 billion a year in total sales, they're now down to making $3 billion a year, and which means they're losing another 3 on top of that. Plus, only 61,000 people wanted the Twitter blue check, which comes out to about $6 million a year in revenue, actually less than that. So Elon torched $3 billion a year in advertisers to make $6 million a year back off of his campaign to get everyone to pay $8. Whoops. No, Twitter's toast. It's absolute toast. And they're not going to be able to hire enough people fast enough at that company to do anything, because there's no one left in HR, man. How are you going to interview a bunch of candidates to take those jobs if A, you're not going to be able to give them stock options? Company's private. There's no stock options anymore. And B, there's no one even on board those folks. You got to take them through not just interview processes, like 3 or 4 interviews, but you have to, give them tests, give them puzzle solving tests. You have to figure out where their strengths are, what they need help with programming. And the big problem is moderating, is that if you got a website that's not well moderated, the rest of the advertisers are going to pull out as well. And then you'll have ads like you have on Facebook now, which are just garbage ads. They're like scams. They're like, hey, you can buy this entire Tough Shed for $99 if you pay now. And then all the comments are like, I bought this like 4 months ago. My Tough Shed was never delivered. Because they're scams, man. They're all scams. And real advertisers don't want to advertise with a bunch of scammers. They're going to pull out. Twitter's toast. I don't think it can be saved, honestly. Okay. But it was fun to be on there while watching this all fall apart. John Crampton, folks that left Twitter didn't do anything anyway. Ugh. I love when people say stuff like that. They were literally doing things. Like, signing the paychecks for all the other employees. I think those folks did something. They were moderating. They were working under the specific legal framework of the FTC consent decree, which required X number of employees to monitor all these different products that are being made and make sure the privacy laws are maintained. They were working for the EU's GRPA, whatever that thing is, GDPRA. Their online privacy. Like, those folks literally did things. They had folks that were managing entire server farms, and they've quit. So if you don't have the guy sitting there making sure the servers are running properly, who's going to make sure the server's running properly? All it takes is one Stack Overflow. And then cascades across the entire network. And no one figures out why. Or the dude who, has got some box, some Mac Mini that's running one piece of code that's sitting under someone's desk. And it's the entire linchpin that the whole thing is dependent upon. And you either fired that guy or made it so uncomfortable for him to work there that he left. And now someone's going to come along like, well, this office is empty. Let's start unplugging things. They're going to unplug that one little Mac Mini, and the entire thing's going to go down because one little batch file that was stored on that thing is keeping the entire network afloat. Tech environments are built upon thousands of little tiny sticks keeping the foundation up. And you pull one of those suckers, the entire thing can come down. So, I mean, he lost some of the most competent engineers in their field, and they did not care. They were on Twitter going like, you know, fuck you, Elon. You need me more than I need you. And Elon's like, well, you're fired. And then his higher-ups like, dude, you shouldn't have fired that person. Like, they literally keep everything running. And that person now has 500 job offers at every other tech company in the world. Why? Because all those tech companies hate Elon's guts. And they would rather have somebody who's good at their job and can tell you what's right and wrong than have somebody who will like, yes, sir, and Elon. So, you know, screw that. That's what I have to say. Okay. Michael O'Hara, Phil Schiller of Apple ended his Twitter account. That's the first step in Twitter being dropped by the Apple app. I think it might be close. A couple more things go haywire on Twitter, and it's very likely the App Store just goes, you know, you're done. And they've done it to other things in the past that were screaming messes. Oh shoot, there was a couple of social media ones that got, what were their names? Can't remember the names of them, but there was one that got out of control and was posting too many pictures of like, oh, what was that one called, Monkey? I read an article about it. It was like 5 years ago. There were like different channels, and it was a timeline each channel. And the channel, like people would make their own, like, I don't know, We Love Dogs, and be like a channel all about We Love Dogs, kind of, you know, a mixture between, say, Twitter and Discord. And there was no moderation whatsoever, so things went haywire. And then App Store and Google dropped them both, and the company disappeared like overnight. And I can't remember the name of it at all. Does it start with a D? My brain keeps wanting to say Discord, but it's not Discord. Dude. What was it called? I can't remember. But yeah, it's a death knell. If you can't meet the standards of the App Store, can't exist. And no one's going to go to their computer just to spend time on Twitter. They want to scroll on their phone. That's what they do. Winter Cage, it never made sense to me. Why the hell would somebody buy a company and then fire everyone? Doesn't that seem very counterproductive? Especially without like ferreting out what everyone does and what processes and services are needed. Like he was on Twitter saying, we're going to get rid of the thing that says tweeted from iPhone or tweeted from Android, tweeted from web, because it doesn't serve any purpose. And then all these Twitter employees are like, actually, it helps us identify if they're tweeting from a bot program or not. And that helps us monitor the actual bots that you claim you're going to stop coming on here. It serves a purpose. And Elon's like, fire everyone. And so they may fire the person who knows how to take that program off, so maybe I'll stay for a little while longer. Okay. Hey, Backwater, Twitter has been losing $1 million a day. What you gonna keep everybody? Well, Twitter's losing more than that. They used to spend $40 million a year in interest on their loans, and they'd lose a couple $100 million here and there. But they weren't having issues covering their loans. Now they're paying upwards of $2 billion a year on interest on the loans. And the only reason they have to pay that much is because their company got leveraged for purchase. So Elon did it to himself. It's like, I burned my house down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, who would do such a thing? We're all trying to find out who's responsible for this, says the guy in the hot dog suit. Yeah, Elon, Twitter wasn't making a profit, but they were doing okay. A few tweaks here and there, they could be making a profit, but going through it with a fire axe and a blowtorch did not seem to be the solution. Robert Plant, HR can be contracted out, payroll can be contracted out. Yes, for more money than you were paying the people to do it yourself. Contracting out for payroll and services and stuff is not cheaper than just doing it yourself. Never has been. It's going to be a little easier. You're like, I don't want to do all that crap. But contracting out that stuff is never cheaper because those folks have to make a profit of what they're doing. General Data Protection Regulation. Thank you. GDPR. Thank you, Just Buddies. That's what it is. GDPR. True Sol, Twitter's operating 200 million users with a staff of 1,000. Twitter got fat, but Twitter also expanded their services a lot further. They started doing news services. They started offering space calls, stories, get tips, money, subscriptions, super chats, super followers. You could do, and then they had to do consent decree with FTC, which required hiring hundreds of people and moderators. And I mean, they need thousands upon thousands upon thousands of moderators alone to keep their requirements under various international regulations standard, and B, to keep the advertisers happy. Because advertisers do not want, Ford Trucks does not want to be under a tweet with the N-word in it. They don't. And if you don't have the moderators to make sure that stuff doesn't happen, then Ford Trucks is going to be associated with the N-word on your platform, and they're going to cancel their subscription. Ed Backwater, Houston, the man developed rocket reentry and landing. Please, wild an egg. Ed Backwater, NASA did that in 1990. It was the first time it actually happened. So Elon did not deliver that. And let's put it this way, Blue Origin did it 6 months before Elon ever did. So, the technology existed. All Elon did was hire those engineers and have them do it again with his name on it. He did not develop shit. He paid people to develop it or to reproduce it, but it was already done. It had already been done.